very good morning and welcome back to Havana Media. My name is Boniface Owino, and as usual I'm going to be your host for today. Now I'm very glad to host Dan Ruto, and it's been quite some time since we had him on the panel, and I'm very grateful for his response today, this morning. There are a lot of things that we missed talking about, and I really thank him for accepting this call and coming. So I just want us to go direct to our discussion, but I would like to give him time to at least say one or two things before we come back to our discussion. Dan, welcome.
Thank you, Bonnie, and I'm happy to be back. I've been away. You know, we have to make ends meet, so I've been up and down. Mm-hmm. But a lot happened, and
while you were away,
while I was away, a lot happened, and we had a lot to say, but we didn't have time to say it. Some of the issues might have been overtaken by events, but it doesn't prevent us from reviewing and discussing some of them. Thank you, and I'm very happy to be here again.
Now, talking about that, the last time we were here, we were talking about the issue of Raila Odinga's AU.
Yes, the AU which failed, and I told you something, Bonnie. You know, I told you Raila will go to AU and fail, and he'll come back. And Ruto cannot contain an idle Raila. So Raila has to be in power. Just like Moses Kuria had predicted very long before it happened. And there is a time I did a piece on the biggest threat to democracy in this country. And in my view, I said it is the biggest threat is Raila Odinga. Why did I say so? Because every time we look like we are going to get a breakthrough, Raila appears with a handshake and messes up everything. I wish he just let things happen naturally, like Ruto left the shilling to balance itself against the dollar. You see, now our shilling is a bit more stable than coming with a handshake or every time we are at the point of getting a real revolution.
Well, it's at the verge of
getting it. Then the guy appears with a handshake. It happened during Moi's time. It happened during Kibaki time. It happened during Uhuru'S time. And now Ruto. I want to confirm to you that even if I were to be elected tomorrow or 2027, he will still come with a handshake.
Is it really true that Raila Odinga doesn't want to be president? He enjoys this thing while outside the seat more than inside.
To paraphrase again what Moses Kuria said, Raila has learned the art of being in the warmer corner of the opposition, and he actually enjoys it without being answerable to Kenyans. You see, when you are elected and you take an oath of office as the president, people will question you when things go wrong. And Raila, I think, knows that. And that is why he prefers coming through the back door all the time, so that he enjoys the privileges of being in power without necessarily having to be responsible about the consequences. And I can tell you for a fact, 2027 is coming. Raila will abandon Ruto before the next election, just like he did with you remember the Kibaki Tosha moment in 2002. Do you know the same morning they had agreed that he goes and endorses the late Simeon Nyachai. In fact, Nyachai, I think, had given him some good amount of money, only to be shocked when Raila stood up in Uhuru Park and said Kibaki Tosha, without consulting anybody, not even his own people. And you know, this is an art that Raila has perfected. He knows he can make money from the government. He can twist the president here and there. You know, when it becomes necessary, he uses his people to throw stones, protest, so that he benefits. That is my own thinking about the man that many Kenyans think is a hero of liberation. I used to think so, but then I realized, no, this guy is there for his own personal benefit.
SK Macharia on Saturday said that Raila Odinga, the only election that Raila Odinga lost was in 2002. The rest he has been winning. But if at all he has been winning, then what has been preventing him from being the president? Is it
the same issue of taking responsibility?
So if he has taking responsibility,
if he has
being
taking
blamed,
responsibility, if he has being blamed, he wants to be out there,
but in
with out but in.
Yeah, so one leg in,
This
one leg
is
out.
what I think. This is what Ruto was defining as a mongrel, kind of relationship, where you don't know who is in and who is out, and who is out and who is in. There is that kind of confusion that Raila thrives in. I think that is the point.
Yeah, it doesn't want, and then it doesn't want to be understood.
Bonnie, you've brought up something very interesting. Yeah. Those who are following the burial of the former president's pilot on Saturday. By the way, the guy comes from Kitale. Hi, Kitale people. Now, according to SK Macharia, there was an agreement between the two.
Yeah.
That if in case whoever goes first, the one who remains must say the truth. Now, how did these guys keep a secret for all these years? I remember reading a saying that a secret can remain a secret between two people only when one is dead. This gentleman seems to have kept it. You know, it even shocked Raila himself. I could see from his facial expression. And it is good that SK actually finally confessed that Kikulacho Kinguoni Mwako. SK was the biggest supporter and funder of Raila Odinga. How then could he go back and help Kibaki in stealing Raila's votes in 2007? And we lost over 1,300 people in the post-election violence that came us. Personally, I was almost killed 3 times. I thank God I survived, and I know I survived for a reason. But, you know, it confirms something to me. You can never trust anybody. Raila has trusted SK
for a very long years. All these years.
And SK himself said, I support Raila because his father left him to me. How come again the same SK went and hid somewhere in a boardroom and was changing the numbers, and people were dying, and he had he owns the biggest, one of the biggest media houses, and he could not communicate the truth. I think that is that confession. I don't know. Is it possible to charge him?
Okay, you know, it's
diverting the will of the people.
We can say that okay, he did the right thing in the first place. That they agreed. It was an agreement that even though if for instance, if Macharia was the one who died, the guy could have said it. But now the problem comes whereby you know something, and you know very well this is what is eating people up.
You become an accomplice,
and you become an accomplice and according to the law, and then boom.
So who do we hold responsible for the people who died in 2007-8?
For the people who died in 2007 and 8, of course, okay, we've been blaming people, but SK Macharia is one of the people that if something rises up again, that people need to take responsibility. It should be called accountable.
And you know, this is what I have been thinking all through. You know, in that election of 2007-2008. I was one of the was it presiding or deputy presiding officer in one of the polling stations. And we counted votes very well. By the time I went to sleep around 3 a.m.,
things were different.
Raila was leading by over half a million votes. About
morning,
2 hours later, when I woke up, Kibaki had overtaken him. And the votes seem to be coming from only one area. You know, you can never convince anybody. You know, in that election, I think Kibaki led in 2 provinces, the old provinces. I think it was Central, and there is one other province.
Was it Rift Valley?
No, not Rift Valley. I think either Ukambani or Coast, one of them.
Oh, of course, it cannot be because Coast has been Raila's stronghold for a very long time.
But basically, out of the old 8 provinces, Kibaki led in only 2 and became president.
So the 6
Raila led in 6 and lost the presidency. It doesn't make sense to anyone, and that is one thing that we were arguing over for a long time. Of course, we knew. I was sure Raila won in 2007. But then these other ones, after the confession of SK, now we know it has always been a game. No wonder. And when Raila nominated this senator, the one who lost the husband, Montet,
yeah.
We were asking each other, where the hell does this lady come from? Later, I discovered she's a Maasai from Narok, I think.
Yeah. She's a Maasai from Narok.
Now, the latest information is she's actually from Kitale because her husband is from Kitale.
From Kitale.
Almost where the side I come from. And it is actually SK who nominated her. So it also tells you something that these people you see being nominated, it is not actually Raila who does it.
Yeah,
there is some power behind him that tells him you must nominate so and so. So it is not actually the will of the people, as they have always made us believe.
It is the will of a dark force.
It is the will of dark forces, and they happen all over the world. Even if you look at developed democracies like the US, they have what we call the Bilderberg Group. I don't know what they do. Now SK is in charge of the Murang'a Group.
Yeah, the Murang'a Group.
And this Murang'a Group seems to be having or controlling a lot of money that they can use to do anything they want to do.
Because
that tells me something again, Boniface. Yeah. Just while we were wondering whether Raila will support Gachagua or Ruto, Ruto's economic advisor, David D, tweeted and said, we will use your own money to buy him and there is nothing you can do. And the very following day, I think is when the handshake happened between Raila and Ruto. It tells you that with money in this country, you can do anything. That is why everybody who is in politics, and I am advising from experience, without money you cannot go in. You might have the best ideas, but they must be backed by money. Two, you must be connected to these so-called dark forces.
Yeah, the dark forces.
These people who never come in the screen
picture.
Yes, but they front other people to speak for them. Yes.
Now, that one's a very interesting one. Now I want to ask you this. Last week, the whole of last week, William Ruto was touring around Nairobi.
He was actually campaigning.
He was campaigning.
He was actually campaigning. And in my view, the reason why he was campaigning is he realized that he has lost popularity. And as part of the agreement, maybe it is Raila who pushed him and told him, go and talk to the people directly, see what they have to say. And unfortunately, there are deaths that occurred and there are some criminal activities that happened during the president's tour. And it is something that is regrettable. You see, when you are a leader, like those days, Moi used to tour the whole country and people maintained law and order because Moi had a system of the provincial administration that ensured everything ran smoothly. We never used to hear of so has stolen because Moi has passed here. Uhuru has been president. We didn't experience such. We only used to experience them when Raila called protesters in the streets. Now, can you imagine now the Wakora accompanying the president
himself. And then the president's convoy killing a foreigner.
Yes, that is another problem. I think that is a regrettable occurrence. It should not have happened. And I don't want to comment much on that. But then there are those who are looking at it with the spiritual eyes. Some were saying, you see now they are accompanying one of their own. I don't know how true it is. But may those who departed rest in peace. We keep praying for them and we keep praying for peace. And we hope it won't happen again.
The president talked about 1 million Chapo. Right now is called El Chapo.
El Chapo. Yeah. By the way, do you know the history of that character El Chapo? I think he was one of the big criminals in the Americas down there. And but okay, that one aside, You know, it shocked me that a whole governor of the capital city of Kenya asks the president for a machine to make 1 million chapatis. Instead of talking of more, the kids have been eating chapati with their mothers.
Like every day.
And if we had, by the way, if we had a machine making chapatis, do you know how many jobs will be lost?
These people, because, okay, I realized something, that every school, you must find that if not less, you can find less than 5 women cooking chapati next to the school compound, because they also depend on this.
Yes.
So what if now you'll bring machines?
That is now the problem. You know, thinking is very important. Unfortunately, we elected people who don't engage their brain before they say anything. I expected, for example, Governor Sakaja to look at even this road, this Ngong Road.
The Ngong Road, yeah.
You go down around Upper Hill, there are a lot of the potholes, and some of them look very dangerous. I expect Governor Sakaja to look at such things.
It doesn't.
I expect him to look at the issue of where hawkers are supposed to be selling and making money. I expect him to look at the issues of how clean the city of Nairobi is, so that we attract
foreigners, more people,
tourists and make money. But a whole governor standing before the nation and asking the president to give him a machine to make chapati, honestly.
Very, very, very shameful, though.
So those are the kind of leaders that we elect. And as I said before, the leaders are a reflection of who we are.
That's right. That's true.
Does it mean we are as bad as Sakaja or even worse?
No.
In fact, Sonko looks like an angel.
Sonko is, right now, if you put Sonko and Sakaja and anyway, Sonko is an angel. Even with William Ruto, Sonko is an angel. Because Sonko, one thing I realized with Sonko is that he has a good heart.
Sonko has a good heart. He really supported people.
And he still supports.
I personally know some of the people he supported from down there. They are now somewhere. Some of them are my friends. So I know, but I cannot pinpoint one person that has been lifted by Sakaja.
You can't.
I can't.
You find that even Sonko normally goes even these rehabs. He helps people. Like the woman who was arrested because of the NHI, the case of the Shah. Yeah, he went and bailed her out. Things like that.
You see, Bonnie, and that is why we keep talking about leadership. Leadership is inborn. Before somebody goes to school and they get the other skills, they first discover, or the people around them make them discover that they have some leadership qualities. And that is when they go to school to improve. Some of these people just happened because they were in the right place at the right time, and they made the right noise.
The right noise,
and they were noticed by the right people. And those people imposed them on us to make them leaders. That is why you see such strange requests like making 1 million chapatis. How many chapatis are eaten in this Nairobi every day?
You want to use 10 million every day to make chapati.
And you see, it will be another way of them making money. Yes. By the way, have you heard of that machine being sold anywhere?
And I've not heard. I've not heard of it.
So, what do you think is happening?
I don't know. Maybe they just want to find ways of making money from Kenyans.
You know, at the end of their term, we must ask some tough questions. Some of those characters have suddenly become billionaires without having held any other job, without having saved in any. Maybe if somebody has saved in a life insurance policy, which I sell, I'd say maybe there was a maturity and they made this amount of money. But we don't know of any. So where are they getting the money? It is our taxes. It is the same money that Ndi told us that we will use your money to buy Raila, and there is nothing you can do.
Anyway, talk about this issue of the IBC shortlisted people names.
First, by the way, we've not met since the Chebukati's burial happened, and maybe looking at the parallels, Chebukati and Kivuitu, they almost went in the same way. Now, last week, the names came out of the people who had applied for the chairman's position. You know, these Kenyans don't fear death.
They don't. They don't see what...
They don't see what some of us see. Because that position is maybe, unless you are...
Is it caste? Can we say that it's a caste position? Or
no, that position is not caste. It is the people who pretend to be leaders that are caste.
Oh.
But then somebody, if you've never held a billion shillings before, for example, then you are the chairman with that power. Yeah. You know, for the IEBC, the chairman is very powerful. His word is final.
Yeah. Especially during the election.
Then Bonnie, you and I are running against each other, and I have the money, and I know, for example, Chairman X is in the position to make a decision and has never held $1 million before. Then I deposit $1 billion in his or her account and make a call. So and so, I've put there $1 billion shillings for you. Declare me or you are dead. What do you think would happen?
Of course, I have to. My life is very much.
So looking at the trend from the past, the only real serious chairperson of the then interim independent, we had a guy called Isaac Hassan. That guy did a good job. But Kivuitu and the late Chebukati, there were a lot of controversies around the decisions they made. We have never verified whether it is true. Or whoever they declared, because even Kivuitu later said he doesn't know who won.
Yeah, that is what he said.
And then fortunately SK came out to confess. It is true, we stole this election. So you see the point. How much do you think Kivuitu was given at that time?
Lots. That can confuse you.
And did he enjoy it?
He didn't.
He didn't.
Even I don't think even Chebukati enjoyed his money. Even
Chebukati didn't enjoy his money.
The money was enjoyed by the doctors.
Yes, and the lawyers, you know, you go through a lot to make all this money, and then you suffer for the rest of your. No, it is just like people who grab large pieces of land.
Yeah,
and when they die, their children start fighting over it. They take each other to court. The lawyers take the money. They leave everybody poor. I believe we can all survive on what God has provided for us.
That's right.
We can share so that at least everybody has something.
Has something.
As opposed to a situation where I have $1 billion and somebody next door is sleeping hungry. It doesn't make sense to me. And that is the kind of leadership that we always pray for. And we hope we will reach there one day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually.
So the issue of the IEBC chairmanship, it is true there are names that have been suggested. I can remember one of them is the daughter of a prominent bishop here in Nairobi, Joy Modivo.
Yeah.
There is Nyachae's son. There is a friend of mine from Western again called Kissinger. There is... who else? They were about 6 names. I think 2 ladies and 4 men. Then, like I said, it shows you something. Kenyans are determined to make this country better. And they are willing to go all the way, with all the threats of death, people are still applying for the same positions, knowing just after declaring the winner of the next election.
That is now where your problem starts.
Shida itaanza. And they are not afraid. I think I like their courage. And we should hurry up and in a short while have the commission in place. The other thing that needs to be addressed now, having listened to SK again, so it is true Raila was right when he was saying the dead people are resurrected and made to vote. So we must clean the register so that we know, and that is why I've been saying it doesn't make sense that I already have a national ID and then I go and register and get something else called a voter's card. That
what
card
is
not
that is where now they cook things.
That is where they cook things. people should just appear with their biometrics ID and their national ID.
Yeah.
So that one limits the dead from appearing. But if anybody can go and use somebody else's ID and get a voter's card, with a voter's card, you simply come with a voter's card and the name is in the register. Yeah. But if I come with my own national ID, when somebody is dead, they register as dead people and their ID, I think, gets cancelled or something. Yeah. Something happens. So with a national ID, you are able to tell this voter is actually alive and is the person I'm looking at. So as they clean the register, maybe that is one of the things they might need to look at. People should just vote using their own national ID. Alternatively, not alternatively, apart from the national ID after verification process and so on, we can have a digital way of voting. So that we know ID number so and so is so and so. You go there and there is a touch screen. I know this country can afford, if they afforded the KIMS kits in the last, we can use the same kits, but then have a software where I come in as done and after confirmation, are you done? Yes. Your ID number is this and this? Yes. Your photo is this? Yes. Then it displays on the screen the names of the people I'm supposed to vote for. Then I just click on one, then my record is erased from there. That minute. It means I've voted. I think if we come up with such a system, it would be waterproof. But more importantly, as they vote, the transmission of results should be live. We have a screeners like this one here, where it is counting the votes in real time.
In real time.
So that people don't manipulate like they have been doing. Yes, I think that is what would work. And we have enough IT people in this country.
A lot of people
to come up with such a system. We don't need to go far. I know a lot of young people here who can do that, and they will not even ask for a lot of money because as part of it will be part of their national pride serving the country.
Now, as we wind up, I want us to talk about this last thing, the story of Margaret Nduta, the lady who was a Kenyan lady who was arrested in Vietnam, the issue of drug.
Boniface, the issue of drugs, and I'll go further and talk about minerals, drugs and minerals. There are people in this country that use other people or other people's children to try to smuggle things around. I've heard of stories where people have sold fake gold. You go and look at the real block of gold in an office somewhere, and they tell you, there is a system of checking in at the airport also. You don't go carrying your luggage. There is somebody who will deliver it there for you. So the only thing you receive there is a receipt, an acknowledgement that you have some luggage. Some people have gone out of this country only to discover that they were sold a concrete block that is coated with gold. Now what they do, they recruit you unknowingly. Of course, you will go work for them. And at some point, they'll ask you, now we want you to go see so-and-so in a certain country. We are sending you, somebody will be waiting for you there. Then in the process, maybe like if it happened in Nduta's case, I'm not sure whether it is true. She was to go to work somewhere, but her flight was diverted and she had to pass through a certain country. I don't want to mention that country. Where she met somebody who told her, please go with this luggage. And you'll meet somebody waiting for you somewhere. So innocently, you carry something without knowing what it is. And then you get arrested. The other way is maybe we travel together, we start talking, we become friends. And when we reach the checking in or the checking out of the airport, I tell you, I'm carrying so much, please hold this for me. And then you are caught with such things. I don't know how it happened in this lady's, but by the way, I hope she has not yet been executed.
No, she has not been executed. But now, what is shocking is that the Kenyan president, William Samoei Ruto, together with his spokesman, this is what they say, that Ruto's Mount Kenyan spokesman has just clarified that Kenyan government does not have an embassy in Vietnam, and the government is not in position to intervene in Margaret Nduta's case, who has less than 12 hours before facing execution in Vietnam under the drugs law. And then now this is what is giving Kenyans hope, that Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, that is the former president, intervened, and this is the update. Uhuru Kenyatta's diplomatic efforts saves Margaret Nduta from execution. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta has successfully intervened in the case of Margaret Nduta, a Kenyan citizen who was facing execution in Vietnam. Uhuru held a lengthy phone conversation with the president of Vietnam, advocating for Nduta's life. His diplomatic efforts proved fruitful as Vietnamese authorities have now spared Nduta from execution. Nduta has been sentenced to death after being arrested and convicted on drug-related charges. Her case had raised significant concerns in Kenya, with calls from government intervention growing louder. Many Kenyans urge the state to use diplomatic channels to secure her release or negotiate a less sentence. Uhuru, known for his strong international connection, stepped in and engaged Vietnam's leadership, ensuring that Nduta will not face the death penalty. His swift action has once again demonstrated his global influence and deep diplomatic ties. Uhuru's ability to engage world leaders on critical matters has earned him admiration across Africa, where fellow President Foley referred to him as Kijana ya Mzee. Nduta's family, who had been living in fear and uncertainty, expresses immense relief following the news, thanking the former president Uhuru Kenyatta for his intervention. As Kenya celebrates this diplomatic victory, Uhuru's role in the case highlights the importance of a strong international relations in protecting citizens abroad. His intervention reaffirms his legal legacy as a leader committed to standing up for Kenyans even beyond his presidency. Now, here we have a problem. Not really a very big problem, but with the problem with our president.
You know, the issue of the diplomacy is very important. Yeah, and that is why you need a diplomat in handling some of these matters. If our current president was to be honest, he should have engaged diplomats to handle our foreign policy.
That's right.
But he chose to put there people who supported him politically, despite their qualifications, let me say, in quotes. In the last 1 month, we've been having a problem of Kenyans stranded somewhere in a country called Myanmar. Myanmar. And some of them have they have not been able to be brought back home. And it has taken unnecessarily long. I'm not surprised that Uhuru had to intervene in Nduta's case after Kenyans had highlighted the same issue online now almost a whole week. And we are happy that she's still alive. When I was coming in, I thought she had been executed. You know, it somehow it was affecting me.
Because she's
but it is good to hear she's a Kenyan. You know, Bonnie, there is nothing. It is not a situation I've been through. But I believe there is nothing as stressful as you living today knowing I'll die tomorrow. At this time.
Yeah.
It is so you might not even be able to eat anything or do anything. So if it is true that the President Uhuru Kenyatta intervened, he did well. Yeah. But then it shows you and there is another hole in the current government. We have addressed this issue before, but I want to address it again. The issue of when Ruto came into power, the way he handled the issues concerning other countries, he was too fast. He didn't sit down with the people who have been there to be advised
to know how it normally happens.
But then I'm told by those who have worked closely with him that he doesn't listen to anybody because he knows everything. Yes, he's a PhD guy.
Yeah, so
And even when we tried to talk about these things, he said he'll only talk to PhD guys.
And how many people do we have
And
have PhDs in the country?
I hope again in the 2027 election, he'll be talking to only PhD guys, not people like us who put him in power.
Yeah.
Although we are the majority. But let's see how far the PhD people will take him. You know, listening is not a weakness.
That's right.
There is something you know that I don't know. And there is something I know that you don't know. So it is only by listening to each other that we are able to learn from each other. I want to remind President Ruto for a millionth time. I know he has been reminded many times before that some of these things need simple, not even, we don't even have to go to foreign countries. Some of the problems we have here at home, including the Gen Z, whatever, and so on, they only need somebody who listens.
They just need to listen.
Sometimes even listening alone solves 50% of your problems. Let me give you an example from my own experience. I was hired somewhere where the people I was expected to manage, some of them felt like nobody was listening to them and trying to understand them. And I came across that information by accident. And I prayed over it, and the following morning I decided to go and listen to them. I just sat there and they said all they wanted to say. Me, with my notebook and pen, I was just taking notes. After they had said all they wanted to say, I went through point by point, just confirming that to them that I have understood. And after going through their issues point by point, without necessarily providing a solution for what they were asking for, the attitude changed. And those people, I started seeing some change in terms of production. So anybody who is in leadership, it doesn't matter what title you hold. It is good to listen to people. When people feel like you are listening to them, they'll even go out of their way to provide solutions for you, because these same people have the solutions of the problems they have. They just want somebody who is understanding enough to listen. It is like a husband and a wife. When you don't listen to your wife, kuna kuanga na pressure. You know, the women are created to talk a lot naturally. We don't blame them. They are good people. They help us in many things. So when you close your ears to her, I think you make her worse. She might even, and that is why you've seen cases where some have committed suicide or killed others. But what could have treated them was simply listening. I know of people who have fallen sick simply. Some of my friends have fallen into depression simply because their spouses don't listen to them. And many pastors know that. And the reason why you see many women flocking in churches is because pastors are some of the best listeners. They can just sit there with you for even a whole day listening to you. And when you leave, you feel better than you were when you came. So I want to remind the president again, listening is not a weakness. It is a strength. It is actually one of the strongest attributes of a leader. But when you let people know that you know everything, they'll say, after all he knows, let him do it. So this all attitude, Mr. President, as we go towards 2027, it is one of the things we are going to hold you, to hold against you. Because you simply don't listen.
Mr. Dan, in 1 or 2 minutes,
yes,
as we wind up, because our time is up. Yesterday, Rigathi Gachagua was denied chance, and in fact, he was chased. And Ole Sapit say that we cannot keep on giving politicians chances to speak in our churches. Your last statement.
As I comment on that, I want to talk about this other church in Roysambu where the president gave promised to give 20 million the other time.
Winners.
I'm telling you, the following Sunday, the Gen Zs were there and the service didn't go on smoothly. Even yesterday, they had there was a whole track of police officers so that they ensure the service goes on smoothly. This idea of mixing politics and politicians with church matters, I told you how we tried that experiment and we regret to death. One of the things these politicians were doing is they promised they are giving 2 million shillings, for example. They actually give. And they have, you see them giving on camera. And they have their people who come for that money after
the service.
Because before they come, they say they first approach those in charge, those especially they liked going to these churches led by one pastor, owned by one pastor. So they put the pastor aside and tell him, we are going to come on Sunday and sadaka tutakuja, watu watatoa sadaka mzuri. So this is what is going to happen. We are going to pledge whatever we will pledge. Then those who are there will be encouraged and give more. At the end of the day, we will go back with our money. So publicly, they come and give 1 million shillings or even 10 million. Then those people plus the other one who have visited are excited. They also give. Of course, the offering that day will be much more. But then later they come for their share. That is the kind of game that was happening when I was involved in that kind of politics.
Is it still happening?
I suspect, once something happens, you need to convince me that it is not the same story again. So I even suspect the 20 million that was promised was not given and will never be given. Or even if it will be given, it will take time. That is how these guys play their politics. It is not an issue of giving money. They actually don't give, but they pledge. And I want to thank Ole Sapit because we need to divorce politics from church matters. If you are my pastor and I don't necessarily support politician X, then you invite that politician as your friend in the church and you praise them and so on. Do you think I'll listen to you? No. So politics will mess up churches. Yeah. So let politicians behave like Moi used to do. Moi could attend, and he was the patron of the AIC church, African Inland Church. But he would go there and sit and listen like any other person. And when he wants to make a political statement, he would do it outside the church after the service, not on the pulpit like people are doing today. Why don't we learn from Moi? Did you ever see Kibaki addressing anything in a church? No. Did you ever see Uhuru addressing anything political in a church? No. So where did we get this breed of politicians under the Ruto regime who feel that they can go and stand in the pulpit, on the pulpit,
and abuse
people before God?
So much shameful.
Even during the last funeral, the funeral that was over the weekend, the captain who was buried the other day where the SK Macharia confessed. They had to run their political program up to the end. And then when the church was now taking over, they had to take the body out and come in afresh, but the politicians left. What does it tell you?
They don't care about worshipping at all.
These people are not even godly. They are actually the representatives of the devil here on earth.
Because of the things that these guys do behind the scene.
And I agree with there was an MP in Bumula called Bifoli Wakoli. He said, sisi wanasiasa ni mashetani. I agree with him. Politicians are devils.
In human clothing.
Yes. And that is why I also fear I'd rather be called a leader than a politician. And as I conclude, I want to remind the people. So many people have, the other day I did a post on my FB about, there are people who knew about my ambition to be MP for Webuye East. So they were asking me, We thought you are going to be our MP. We cannot rule that out. But let's just say at the moment, associating with the politics and the politicians, especially the current crop of politicians, can mess you up.
True.
It has messed me up before, and I don't intend to walk that route again. So let me just do my business for now and take care of my children.
So the name Honorable.
Thank you.
After all, guys, that was all we had for today. And until we meet again in the next video, if it is possible, I have been your host, Boniface Owino. Bye-bye.